Level 1, Research Intern. The office is 42 floors up. The air smells like recycled ambition. You are 24 years old. Your desk is the smallest one in the room. No nameplate, no window, just a stack of printed models. They told you the fund manages $12 billion. You didn't know what that number actually meant yet. Your job is to build models, not to question them. Not yet. That distinction will take time to understand. Owen stops at the edge of your desk. He doesn't introduce himself. He just drops a folder and walks away. Inside, a company worth $200 million, dying. Someone decided it's worth buying. That someone isn't you, yet. Private equity doesn't buy companies. It buys the gap between what something is worth and what it could become. You run the numbers 40 times that week. Each iteration is wrong in a slightly different way. No one tells you why. One evening, Richard stops beside your desk. He says nothing. He looks at one number. Then he nods and leaves. That nod. You'll spend the next 6 months chasing that nod. You don't know it yet, but you will. The fund doesn't tell you what it's doing. It shows you pieces. You are not meant to see the whole board yet. That's when you realize. The first rule of this place is simple. See everything. Reveal nothing. Not yet. Level 2. Analyst. 18 months later, you have a new title. Same desk. Different stack of papers. A slightly bigger number on your pay stub. But now you're in the room when they talk about deals. You're not speaking. You're a set of ears. And that matters. A hedge fund bets on directions. A private equity firm bets on transformation. You're learning which game you're playing. Owen leans over and whispers, "Don't ask about the exit multiple in there. Not today." You don't ask why he knows that. There are spoken rules, and there are the ones that operate underneath. Invisible architecture holding everything in place. You start to notice who speaks first, who looks at Richard before answering, who holds the pen but never writes. The fund bought a struggling logistics company for $180 million, loaded it with debt, then waited. The debt isn't a flaw. The debt is the instrument. It disciplines the asset, forces efficiency at every level of the org. You model the 5-year trajectory, revenue recovery, EBITDA expansion, exit at 8 times. You feel the math now, not just the numbers. The company isn't the point. The return is the point. The company is just the vehicle. You understand this now, completely. Diana walks into the room one morning and drops a deal memo in front of you. Read it. Then forget you read it. That's when you realize you are no longer outside the machine. You are a moving part, and parts can be replaced. Level 3, Associate. You are 28. You have a new desk, a window. No one drops folders on you anymore. Now you review the ones others drop. The logistics deal closed. The fund sold it 3 years later for $460 million. You ran those numbers. You were there. $280 million of profit from a broken company. In 36 months, nobody cheered. Nobody celebrated. It just happened. You begin to understand that private equity doesn't operate on optimism. It operates on certainty that's been engineered in advance. Richard calls you into his office. No assistant, no pleasantries. He says, "We need your read on this one, not the model. Your read. Your read, not the model." That distinction between what the data says and what you believe is where the real leverage lies. The limited partners never see the middle. They see the entry price and the exit multiple. Everything between is your invisible labor. You give your read to Richard. 30 seconds. No hedging. No footnotes. He looks at you differently after that. Once. You don't smile. You don't celebrate. You've learned that here, composure is currency, and you're spending it wisely now. The carry, that's the word they say quietly. The fund charges 2 and 20, 2% management, 20% of profits. The carry is what makes this world asymmetric. You win, they win more. But if you lose, they still collect the 2%. That's when you realize the system wasn't designed to be fair. It was designed to be effective, and you are learning to live inside that design. Level 4. Vice President. You are 33. The title says Vice President. What it means is this: you now carry deals. You are accountable for outcomes. The fund is targeting a healthcare company, undervalued by the market, overstaffed by design, a textbook distressed opportunity. You spend 4 weeks with the management team. You watch how they think, where they slow down, what they protect that doesn't need protecting. Diana pulls you aside one evening. They're going to fight the restructuring. You need to be the wall, not the door. A wall, not a door. You understand what that means. You will absorb resistance. You will not negotiate it away. The restructuring reduces headcount by 31%. 3 facilities close. The balance sheet tightens. EBITDA improves by the projection. You don't sleep much during this period, not from guilt. From the density of variables, every domino must fall in the right order. A hedge fund is different. It bets on what will happen in the market, not what a company can become. Speed versus architecture. The healthcare deal exits 18 months later, sold to a strategic buyer for 7 times the original investment. Clean, precise, cold. Richard hands you an envelope. Inside, your first carry allocation, not a bonus. A share of the profits you helped engineer. Different thing entirely. You now own a piece of the outcome. Small, but real. The gap between employee and owner just narrowed by exactly 1 envelope. That's when you realize the system rewards those who stop being labor and start being capital. You've just taken the first step. Level 5. Portfolio Manager. You are 38. You manage a portfolio of 4 companies simultaneously. No one models for you anymore. You decide what gets modeled. The board now, not a meeting. The actual board. The one that decides if a company survives the next 18 months. You see things now that were invisible from below. Which companies in the portfolio are real, and which were always just bridges. One of your companies begins to fail. The management team asks for more time. You look at Diana. She shakes her head once. The company is sold for parts, below book value, a loss on paper. But the fund has already recouped from the other 3. Math doesn't care. The fund's job isn't to save every company. It's to maximize the total return across all positions over the fund's life cycle. You stopped feeling the weight of individual companies around this time. You began to see the portfolio as a single organism instead. The limited partners, pension funds, endowments, sovereign wealth. They trust you with their capital. 40 years of someone else's retirement. You are the point between their capital and the companies they've never heard of. Invisible to both sides. Essential to the mechanism. The fund closes its 3rd vintage. 11.4% net ERR. 3 times the benchmark. The limited partners renew without negotiation. You begin to understand the loneliness of this level. The higher you go, the fewer people can follow the conversation. The air gets rare. That's when you realize the view from the 5th level isn't triumph. It's clarity. And clarity, at this altitude, carries its own weight. Level 6. Managing Director. You are 44. Richard retired last year. You didn't replace him. You absorbed his function. That's not the same thing. At this level, your decisions affect companies you've never visited, workers you'll never meet, towns built around factories you control. The fund raises its 4th vehicle, $2.3 billion in commitments. The LP meeting lasts 45 minutes. No one asks hard questions. You don't pitch anymore. You receive. That's the shift nobody tells you about. One day it flips, and you never go back. The fund is not a building, not a fund. It's a reputation that compounds. And yours has been compounding for 15 years. You begin acquiring deal flow that never hits the market. Proprietary. Ideal. And off-market. The phone rings before the banker sends the teaser. Owen made partner last year. You remember the first folder he dropped on your desk. He doesn't remember. Power has its own amnesia. The market collapses for a quarter. Your portfolio marks down. The LPs get nervous. You send one page. And the calls stop. That one page was enough because trust, once established at this level, is the last thing that goes. Before everything else, after everything else. The fund's carry on its first 3 vehicles has produced more wealth than your salary ever could. The distance is now architectural. You stopped thinking about money as a goal. It became an output of the process years ago. The process itself is what you protect now. That's when you realize the game was never about the money. It was about building the kind of machine that produces money without you running it. Level 7. Capital Architect. You are 52. You are launching your own fund. Not because you need to, because you've spent 25 years learning what not to do. Your own fund, your terms, your mandate, no investment committee above you, no one to nod at, no one to defer to, just the market. You design the fund structure from first principles. Governance, carry waterfall, clawback, provisions. Every term reflects a lesson paid for in years. The first LP commitment comes. A sovereign wealth fund, 300 million, no negotiation. They know your record. Records speak now. The system you once entered at the bottom is now partially yours. Not all of it, just the part you built. That's enough. For now. There is a person at a small desk right now, in an office like the one you first entered, running models no one will remember. You were that person. The machine doesn't care who built it. It just continues. The fund will outlast you. The system will process whoever comes next. You look back only once, not with nostalgia, not with regret, with the specific recognition of how long the distance actually was, and that you walked it anyway. Private equity. Hedge funds. The names change. The structure changes. But the underlying logic never does. Find the gap between value and price. Own the bridge. You are not the richest person in the room anymore. You are the one who designed the room. That's not the same ambition. It's a different one. Somewhere right now, there's a room that is cold. A screen that glows blue. A desk with no nameplate. That's where this still begins. Every time